week in United States Division South, Iraqi troops feed their people, Iraq's water protection is coasting, and Iraqi reporters take the lead in telling the news. Those stories coming up, but first, Medevac crews aren't the busiest troops in Iraq these days, and that's a good thing. But when a request for Medevac does come, it's a matter of life and death. Air crews must constantly be ready. Specialist Daniel Sullivan followed sailors as they conducted joint training with the Army to keep their edge.
Water rescues are the bread and butter of the Navy's 2515th Air Ambulance Detachment out of Guam. But in Iraq, their mission has changed.
I get to fly around, help people, and when I'm back in Home Guard, I get to jump out of helicopters. It's a good life.
Their mission today is a mock medevac casualty.
Third and fourth to the talk, medevac, medevac, medevac.
They work 24-hour shifts. When they receive a 9-line medevac, they have only 15 minutes before they must be airborne.
It was a pretty vague 9-line that they gave us, which is pretty much what we get all the time realistically. So we, a lot of times we just have to kind of adapt and flex to what we see when we get on the scene.
In this point of injury scenario, the victim has lost both of his legs. They quickly load him onto the H-60 Sierra, the Navy's equivalent of the Black Hawk. They've received around 25 real medevac calls this tour.
Every once in a while we really get a real serious medevac, or some sort of rollover, or somebody's really hurt, and the feeling of actually participating and saving someone's life is really rewarding.
They don't just evacuate American troops. They also respond to Iraqi soldier and civilian calls. Their area of operation spans from Kuwait all the way to Talil. With that many lives in their hands, it's essential they are ready.
It was good training between both branches, a good chance to give some of our second crewmen a chance to get their hands dirty.
This was their first time training with the Army, and something they plan on doing again. Specialist Daniel Sullivan, Basra.
Iraq's Coast Border Guard hit the deck with its Department of Border Enforcement in tow. Staff Sergeant Angela Archie followed as they went through their annual exercise.
On the Khor al-Zubair waterway, Iraq's Coast Border Guard trains under the watchful eye of the 4th Region Department of Border Enforcement. The CBG patrols from Afah to al-Rasas along Iran's coastline.
We have a slogan in Iraq: the more you train, the less blood that will be shed in the battle.
The exercise centered on stopping the smuggling of terrorists and explosives across the border. The scenarios included capturing and detaining smugglers for questioning. In a final scenario, Iraqi soldiers performed a water rescue. CBG forces impressed U.S. troops with their progress.
What we saw at this exercise was a demonstration that, yes, they do have the skill sets that are required to defend their country. And that, by all means, is always encouraging.
Iraqi officials say they could use more advanced equipment, but will continue training to reach the standards that the Coast Border Guard forces aim for. Staff Sergeant Angela Archie, Basra.
Iraqi security forces are working hard to build public confidence in their abilities, and that means working with the media to help tell their story. The 1st Infantry Division Public Affairs Office held a training seminar with their Iraqi counterparts. Specialist David Graves has more.
The Iraqi Army and police continue to learn from U.S. forces, but this time the agenda was learning how to react to the media.
All right, we're rolling. Ready when you are.
The trainees went over command information, media relations, and preparing a spokesman for an interview. The 2-day course held on Cobb Basra was led by Lieutenant Colonel Matthew Hackathorn.
I think they were appreciative of the opportunity, and they were very happy with the practical exercise we did to get them in front of the camera and actually demonstrate their ability and what they learned.
Then the Iraqis participated in a live exercise where they were given scenarios and were questioned by translators acting as reporters. Their answers were recorded so they could watch and learn from one another.
How do you do?
Dave. They did very, very well with it. We were happy with their performance, and they're actually at a level a little bit higher than what I expected. We're going to ramp it up a little bit and have a lot more practical exercises.
Hackathorn plans to move the training to the Basra Operations Center to make it more accessible to the Iraqi Army and police. A move he says is just part of being a good partner. Specialist David Graves, Basra.
At the same time Iraqis are learning about working with the media, they're learning to be the media. Iraqi Public Affairs was on the scene as Iraqi troops passed out food in Azubair. With no Americans present, they passed out 250 food packets to local families. And happy birthday to the 1st Infantry Division, who turns 93 on June 8th. And that's this week's Danger Edition. For the 1st Infantry Division, I'm Specialist Jenna Lindauer.